Welcome to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast with your hosts, Jason Balin and Ian Horowitz.
What's up, Ian?
What's up, man? Oh, you're live on LinkedIn. I just got a notification.
Yeah, I was able to get the approval to do live broadcasts on LinkedIn, so I'm happy about that. So we're live on your Facebook page, my Facebook page, our LinkedIn page, the Real Estate Investing Incubator Meetup Group, and our YouTube page. Welcome to Friday. Fridays we try to do book reviews. Obviously, we don't do a book review every Friday because I can't read a whole book in a week. Although I have definitely, if you recall, one of my goals early on as we started was to do more reading in general of podcasts and books. And, typically I would do about one a quarter, and I always wanted to do more than that. But, either way, I'm getting through about one every 2 weeks right now. So I'm happy to hear that. I have no idea what that comment is right there. You see that comment?
No, I'm over here grinding away.
Got it. So we're going to do a book review today on the Millionaire Fastlane. I know a lot of our listeners and viewers have read the Millionaire Fastlane. Pretty interesting book. It's interesting. And anytime I try to explain the book to somebody, I always am confused. Is it the Millionaire Fastlane or the Fastlane Millionaire? But it is the Millionaire Fastlane. And I've known about this book for a long time, and it's interesting. I was never attracted to the book because of the headline. I thought it was a sleazy headline, and in general, I didn't love it. And obviously, I've read my fair share of books related to that have catchy taglines, catchy headlines. But in general, for some reason, I didn't love. It just didn't catch my attention, even though I was aware of it. But over probably the last 2 months, I had about 3 people that recommended it, either from listening to their podcast, or from coming onto our show, or from just friends that I trusted. And let me tell you, it was worth it. I got a lot of value out of the book, and I've been recommending it. So, what are your thoughts, Ian? Your initial thoughts on the book, and then let's kind of go over some key takeaways that we each got.
Well, first off, we're live on Instagram, Equity Warehouse's page. If you want to switch over to there for whatever reason, I see my man Glenn's over there, Matthew Matthews over there, Dan's sister's on there, and then Terry Royce called in and stopped my broadcast. But anyway, I do agree.
Of course he did.
I too agree. When you told me the name of the book, I was like, yeah, dude, I don't need to read that. I was finishing up Happy Pocket Full of Money, and you're like, no, dude, it's a good book. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I was caught off guard. I was traveling down. Where did I go? I went to Louisiana when we purchased that storage facility with Steve. I said, you know what? I'm just going to download the book. I'm going to be on the road. I'm going to be on the plane. It's only 11 hours. Let me read it. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if it was his presentation of the book or the content of the book, but I actually wound up thoroughly enjoying it. It was a good back to the basics type book. And it really makes you think and deep dive inside of what you're doing every day, and really, talk to yourself about what you're doing and is it the right thing. And I think the point that I'm just going to jump right into it. The point that really got me was the sidewalk versus the slow lane versus the fast lane, and the points in each one of those lanes. And I don't know what your takeaway was, but some of the sidewalk stuff, it takes you back to when you were a high school kid. Look, let's be honest. There's a few chosen ones out there that know exactly what to do on day one, and we all make mistakes. And that sidewalk lifestyle, you're like, oh yeah, am I doing that? And it makes you think. And then you're like, well, what about the slow lane? And you start thinking about that and the way he describes it. And then he talks about the fast lane, and you're like, man, that's where I want to be. Am I there? And then you start questioning yourself, and how can you make your business better? So
So let's back up and think about what the sidewalk is, what the slow lane and what the fast lane is, right? So the sidewalk is you walk on a sidewalk, right? So for instance, you have a job, probably don't like that job. You're, every month you get in your paycheck, you're putting your $200 away into savings. You're
not even that. Your paycheck to paycheck. Your
paycheck. Yeah, your paycheck.
It's everyone else's fault,
Exactly. So you got the slow lane, then you got the sidewalk, then you got the slow lane. The slow lane is, eventually when you retire, you're going to have money, right? So you grind it out for 40 years or however long it takes. You save some money away, you put your money in your 401k, and then guess what? At 65 or 70 or whatever age it is, you retire and you're there. I wouldn't say rich, but you retire and you can kind of enjoy life. It takes that long. And then you have the fast lane, which is, doesn't matter how old you are. You could be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, whatever it is. You're going full throttle. You're going full throttle in the fast lane as quick as possible to get to a path of financial freedom, path of retirement, path of wherever you want to be.
And I think before we go any further, I think everyone needs to understand, this is our interpretation of the book, number one. Everyone's going to take away something different depending where they are in their lives. But more importantly, the way I took it as, and don't take this wrong if you're watching this and you're getting the synopsis of the book, it's not that go fast, go hard, and make a bunch of mistakes and figure it out. It's, you still discuss slow and steady wins the race, but it's your lifestyle and your actions and what you're doing inside of your business to, throw gasoline on a fire and make it go, or you letting problems just fester and having major issues. So, to be clear, it's not necessarily how you operate your business. It's, not saying that slow and steady wins the race. It's how you're looking at viewing your points. So, when I think we can skip over the sidewalk. I think, maybe there's some people that are watching that are in that lane, the sidewalk lane. And if you're there's a lot of other books that can help you get mentally where you need to be. And I think a lot of us that start investing in real estate, we're a little bit further past that. But it was good to hear. And, it's your consumer mentality. You're going on social, you're consuming content, not creating it. Your car breaks down. It's everyone else's fault but your own. You ran out of fuel. It's everyone else's fault but your own. What else is there in the sidewalk? It's just a lifestyle where most of us don't want to be. And if you're watching this, most likely you're trying to advance yourself. Now, when we get to the slow lane, what I took from that is that's your standard run of the mill. Go to college, get a degree, you start a bit. The thing that really resonated with me is, either number one, and I see this at work all the time, is the guys that sit there and they're working for their pension, and that's how they're going to retire, and the pension's going to take care of them, or the Social Security is going to take care of them. And the other thing that resonated with me in the slow lane, because I see this with some close family members, is, they own a business, but they're not business owners. They're just employees of their business. And that's really what I took away from the slow lane. And Jason, I think we see this a lot with entrepreneurs, because you do a lot of loans and you see a lot of people. I thought that was one of the major takeaways about the slow lane for me.
Yeah, I think more people are in the slow lane than they think, and I think, and I believe that they don't think that the fast lane is doable, and they try to get into the fast lane, but they don't think it's doable. And it's very, very interesting because in that book, not that he badmouths different types of investments, but a lot of the investments in general, it's like, oh, well, I'm going to get a 6% rate of return, or I'm going to get 10% rate of return, or I'm going to do this, and unfortunately. Unless you have millions and millions of dollars, getting that sort of interest rate return is not going to immediately make you retire or immediately make you rich. Right. If you have $100,000 of investable capital right now and you invest it at whatever 12%, which is a really good interest rate of return, it spits out $1,000. You're not all of a sudden going to be able to retire. And how long will it take that $1,000 to grow and to compound and double? In 6 years or so, that'll double. So you'll go from 100,000 to 200,000, right? In a 6 year period, and then another 6 year period, you'll go from 200,000 to 400,000, and then you're 12 years in, you got $400,000. So it's the whole process is investing in yourself, and instead of investing in mutual funds or the stock market or even really in real estate, it's invest in business, invest in yourself, and to go all in with it, because that's where the high dividends really, really pay out. And it makes a lot of sense, because I think all of us in general, it's, hey, we want to flip a house, we want to make this money, then we're going to invest in another house, or we want to buy, a rental property, and then another rental property. Well, by the time you get rich and by the time you have financial freedom, it could be, 20 years from now, right? Based on most of these models. Now, that doesn't have to be the case. And the majority of the book was getting into the fast lane and going as quick as possible. And, most of his investments is very interesting because he used the term wealth preservation, and that's what it was. Where most of us invest in 401ks and retirement accounts and stock markets and rental properties, real estate, and stuff like that. But so much of that stuff's more preservation because they're good investment vehicles, but those investment vehicles aren't going to get you rich in a quick period of time. Those investment vehicles will get you rich at retirement time, and most of us want to move a lot quicker. So, for instance, hey, instead of going to buy a house, it's like, cool, how am I going to create a home buying company? How am I going to buy a portfolio of dozens or hundreds of units in the next few years, instead of saying, oh, well, I'm going to buy one property a year and then I'll be rich in 20 years. So the fast lane, I think most successful real estate investors that are probably listening to this, successful ones, not newer real estate investors, successful ones are probably still in the slow lane. They might not even be in the fast lane. They're probably still in the slow lane. And I think, a big takeaway that I know a lot of, myself and a lot of my, friends in this space is they're moving quick in the slow lane, but they're not into the fast lane.
Well, and I think we even talked about it is, are we truly fast lane people, or are we in the slow lane? We do a lot of stuff that are slow lane traits, and we do a lot of stuff that are fast lane traits, when it comes to business creation and growing our companies. Just the deals I did this year, I would say we're moving towards the fast lane. With COVID and everything going on, we're still closing deals. We're still moving forward. We're doing bigger and bigger deals that are paying out more and more and more. And, we're starting, forget actually skip over that part. We're building a company that is allowing people to manage all those assets that we're continuing to move. However, I would say financially on some things, I'm probably more leaning towards the slow lane with wealth preservation and those types of things. And some of the stuff he talks about, laying it all on the line and getting out there and doing it. I think we were all there at one point, and we've all done that. None of us would be sitting here doing real estate if we didn't do fast lane trait type stuff. Yeah. It has a lot of relation to the Grant Cardone mentality of 10x. It's a good motivating book. The other interesting thing is he has that internet marketer type mentality of like, if I can create evergreen content, I'm going to make my money. And like, he talks a lot about, hey, I created this book, or I created something for somebody that's going to be evergreen. And I thought that was interesting, because I always relate, how can you do that in real estate? Well, the way you do it in real estate is you can flip a bunch of houses, but go buy a rental property that pays you forever, right? Like, that's kind of the similar mental process that he's utilizing. Or like his imitations of like the slow lane and the fast lane people, they're hilarious. And then he goes and straight calls out like Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey, and he kind of makes fun of them. But either way, he discusses, hey man, they're just good marketers, and they're selling stuff so they can go invest in these same exact principles that they're teaching you, right? So that was really interesting.
Yeah, he was more hating on them because they were in the fast lane because they're education companies. Not necessarily their investments. They were teaching it like the Robert Kiyosaki stuff. And he was hating on Robert Kiyosaki because he didn't make his money in real estate. He made his money in the education side, and then he invested it in real estate. Right. So that was kind of it. And he makes a point, right? And that goes back to real estate and again, he invests in real estate. He didn't badmouth real estate, but he did talk about most real estate investors are in the slow lane. They're setting this up for the future. They're creating cash flow now, but they have their big, what's it called? Not really an exit, but like their big, fat. What's that?
Windfall?
Yeah. They have their big windfall kind of in the future, 20 years when their mortgages are paid off and they're all free and clear. Or, as you do 1031s and you buy a bigger and bigger building. So it doesn't have to be like that. So, I wouldn't say that he's, everything was 100% accurate or I agreed with everything that he said, but I did understand it. And I did like the whole principles of like, and I think in real estate in general, it's hard to have a big exit because, these companies, at least on our scales of companies, there's only so much that you could sell one of these companies for to begin with. And on his end, he grinded it, he grew his website, he grew his platform, and then he sold it and he had a big exit, and then he took that exit and then he invested it and living off the dividends. So that's what a lot of people want to do. And, it's harder in some industries than others.
Right. Okay. So if you were a new real estate investor and you were getting involved and you wanted to skip over the slow lane, like what's one activity you could do to say, I want to be in the fast lane? Like what do you think holds back a lot of real estate investors, and one way they can compete with that and say, I want to grow a company and I want to go?
Yeah, I mean, and you can do that. And I mean, we know lots of real estate investors who have kind of gone in, gone on.
Matt Fullerton, right? Like, I think in 1 year he did $1 million in wholesale fees, right? And he found a niche, and it was really just going to other wholesalers and say, you got lead gen and you're letting this stuff fall through the cracks or you can't close deals. I'm going to go out, I'm going to make you money, I'm going to make me money, and I'm going to go. And he skipped over the biggest problem that everyone has, lead generation, right? Let someone else do the lead generation and go monetize it, right? Like, yeah. I think.
But also, what's typically expected is you take that money, you invest it in whatever, you put that money in the stock market, or you buy some more real estate with it, or you spend it on yourself, and then it's kind of like a vicious cycle, right? And if you're growing something quickly and still living on canned beans and rice, and living a very small lifestyle, you know how it goes. Everyone does this. You go from making as a real estate investor, potentially having a few properties, flipping a few properties, making a few $1,000s a month, to start making more, and then all of a sudden your lifestyle changes, and then you're spending more, right? And that's the issue. Part of the fast lane is obviously massive growth and top line revenue to bring tons of money in, but also at the same time, somewhat keeping expenses low in order to get to that. But instead of taking that money and investing in normal stuff, he's reinvesting that into the company. And I don't know. I mean, as a real estate investor, I guess it's just, creating a gigantic wholesale operation, creating a gigantic flipping operation, but at the same time, throwing money in rental properties kind of along the way, and doing a little bit of everything. Whatever your core competency is, what you like. Do you want to build houses? Do you want to renovate houses? Do you want to wholesale? I don't think any of those things are wrong, right? Like, you're not going to go and buy 100 rental properties overnight and leverage, especially if you don't have any money, and you got to leverage them all up and make a ton of money very, very quickly. It's not going to happen. But you need that as, you do that kind of side by side. I think most of his stuff was to have some sort of exit. And this other book I'm reading right now, actually, which we can talk about at a later date, is, building up a company in order to have your end game as an exit. And I think as real estate in general is probably harder to exit. But I look at real estate a little bit different, because I feel like real estate investing is an investment vehicle that we're all fortunate enough to have. Like, you have an investment vehicle that you can deploy your own cash into. I have an investment vehicle that I can deploy my cash into, or friends and family cash into. So it's a little bit different than his approach on it. But again, it's different for everybody of what they want. I mean, I'd like to have a big cash exit. I don't know if that's possible. So,
yeah, I think it's something that resonates with me a lot is that, you talk about, like, hey, you always talk about you and Chris, that you're entrepreneurs. However, this just happens to be the cog that you like to spin, right? Like, and I think that's true with a lot of people, and he talks about it. Actually, I was listening to Russell Brunson's podcast this morning, and he was getting interviewed by his first mentor. And, he talks about how, like, it's very easy, since we're all entrepreneurial. It's like, hey, Jason, I can insert myself in your business and I can help you grow. And then I can go do this business, and I can go do this business, and I can do this business, versus just saying, and real estate's real easy to do it because there's so many different ways to make money. Is to truly, and we talk about it in the Millionaire Fastlane, is to concentrate on one business, go all in, be really, really, really good at it, and make your money, right? Like, make your cog spin, that you're good at, because guess what? Once you have enough money, you can invest in the other businesses that you're passionate about that might not make as much money, but you can make a difference, right? Like, and I thought that was something interesting that he talks about. And, I find it interesting right now, like with what's going on related to me personally. We're really good at what we do here. I think we are anyway. And our union at the fire department just switched leadership. And, a lot of people have been reaching out saying, hey, do you want to participate in this committee? I think I can use some of the business stuff that I've learned here, or Dan can, and go help out with some of the committees, even though it might not be something that we monetize, versus saying, oh, I'm going to help out with the union, but I'm not going to be able to pay for myself, So it's interesting that you can create yourself a lifestyle and then go back and help and do the other things that you want to do once you have that lifestyle the way you want it to be.
Well, that's how it always is. I mean, that's how it always is. And, I don't like this excuse. He didn't like the excuse of like, oh, well, it's not all about the money, it's about, helping out. And the rebut to that is, well, how much more could you help out if you didn't have to worry about the money, if you didn't have to worry about personal finance stuff. So I don't think that's a good enough excuse of like, I'm not. So, but again, it's different things for different people. I mean, you can help that many more people if you have cash flow coming in passively. So instead of having to volunteer for 2 hours on a Saturday, you could volunteer the entire Saturday or the entire Monday or the entire Thursday.
Yeah.
However you want to set up. So, I thought it was good. I mean, I think the book was a little bit aggressive. I think it probably offends some people in general. I would say that, it kind of pushed me to be a little bit more on the fast lane stuff of like, I feel like I'm already on the fast lane in general, but there is definitely kind of slow lane tendencies of cool, this is the amount of money that we're reinvesting every month. And part of it is just the business model. I mean, I hate to say it, but real estate in general makes it hard to have a big exit. I do. I mean, I think we're all in the spot. And it doesn't matter if you're doing lots of loans, if you're flipping a lot of houses, if you're wholesaling a lot of properties, you're making good. If you're doing stuff on volume, you're making good money and you're getting good hits of stuff. Could be, let's say you make an average of $10,000 every time you wholesale a house and you're doing multiple. It's a lot of money. You're doing it. But at the same time, there's still sales activities. And when that stops, that stops. Instead of having to grind and do that all the time, it would be great to have a big hit and then invest and make passive dividends on that. And I think with real estate, it's hard. Short term. I think long term, potentially it's good, but I think unless in real estate you're catch the market great, which is probably not right now, but as all this stuff happens and the market starts softening again soon, it could be where you go out and you really go all in and just acquire a ton of assets, and then potentially turn them around in a few years and sell them for a premium. So that's something we kind of thought about because I do believe that the market's going to soften in the next. Probably sooner than later, and it could be an opportunity to go in and perform something where within a 5 to 8 year period, 5 to 10 year period, you can come in, acquire a lot of stuff. You keep flipping and keep wholesaling for cash flow to come in, and you start acquiring a portfolio of properties. And then as things, improve again and appreciate in value, you potentially sell them for a premium.
But I'll give you one big but, and I think it's something that he kind of discusses as well, even though he's not very direct about it, is that all of his experiences leading up to where he went to, he couldn't have had without trying a bunch of different things first, right? Like, and I think I relate that to where I'm at today or you're at today, is that you couldn't be in the fast lane today without eating crow, right? Like, you've had to do a lot of slow lane stuff to get to where you are today. We both have. And neither of us could be in a fast lane without starting on day one. And I think, the analysis by paralysis, or the people that are, fiddling around and can't really figure it out and really need to concentrate and figure out why their stuff's not working, why they can't get deals done, why they can't close a loan, or whatever it may be. You need to figure that out today. So then, like, when the situation that Jason's talking about is available, you can go out and hit the ground running. Like, we would never be able to buy that apartment, the last 2 apartment buildings we did, had we not done 100 single family houses as rental properties. We wouldn't even have this chance on this office redevelopment property that we're working on right now, had we not done other industrial deals prior to now. And office space, with everything going on, there's potentially a huge hole to go make a lot of money in, because people are offloading assets and people don't understand how to monetize them. So to go out and do the deals on day one, you have to do that. If you don't do that, you can't move forward, right? Like,
but I guess the approach is instead of saying, cool, I'm gonna jump into this slowly or complain about it. You do it fast. It's
take action.
Hey, take action. If you need to learn this business, as soon as you get off work, get your ass in front of your computer or in front of a book and read and learn, and then go out and execute. So, that's the excuse. And he knows that majority of the people aren't going to do that. I mean, then that's the difference. Right. That's why everyone's on the sidewalk. And a lot of people are in a slow lane. And just because, you own a business doesn't mean that you're not on the sidewalk. I mean, so many business owners literally started a business and they just replace their income with their new business income, and they're stuck in the exact same situation instead of working for somebody else. That's almost worse, because not only are you making the same amount of money you're making before, but you have all the liability and you have all the risk. And you have all
they sell and service outdoor power equipment up in Philadelphia, and they've been grinding it out for years, but now they don't have an exit strategy. It's like, man, like, you worked your ass off for what, And I think that's the advantage to real estate, is that it's a little bit different business, that if you don't sell it, you're usually still in a good position. It sucks, but you usually still have cash flow 9 times out of 10. So if you're stuck with the property, it doesn't necessarily kill you. But yeah, man, there's definitely some differences with regular business like he's discussing versus what we do. But again, man, just if you want to learn something, go out and do it. I mean, I see people now talk about how to raise capital. If you can't find money for deals, there's all kinds of programs out there. Go out and watch these people. Go out and watch Russell. Look, we get infatuated by people. I'm still infatuated by Russell Brunson. My God, I mean, you were in his first mastermind, one of his first mastermind groups, and in 6 years, that guy's $100 million company.
3 ClickFunnels, I was in it too.
Yeah, I mean, $100 million on his way to $1 billion. Like, we get infatuated by people too. It's not like, oh, Jason and Ian got it figured out, and they're not really. No, dude, I look at other people, I'm like, God damn, like, how'd they do that? Even though we have a good lifestyle. So,
I mean, I know, like, I'm not going to badmouth him. I know he grinds. I mean, like, grinds, and that's what it is. But, like, he wants a fast lane setup. It's go all in. I mean, I think anyone who's, like, not going all in with real estate right now, you got to go all in. And I think even if you're not buying anything right now, that's okay too. Like, it doesn't necessarily, figure it out. I mean, if there's no deals out there, and you can't get your hands on a good deal, go figure out a way to get a deal elsewhere. Don't do a deal to do a deal, right? But that being said, you still have to have that exposure. You still have to have that brand. You can't all of a sudden just, like, disappear, because guess what? As soon as the market changes and the rest of the world disappears, you're going to be in there to scoop everything up. Yeah. But you got to put in the hard work. Chris interviewed a big real estate agent from Philly a few years ago, and it was great. It was something that we all kind of know, but he stated it perfectly. He goes, markets like this, where there's a lot of people and it's saturated. I do my regular stuff. I do my regular transactions. I'm in front of people. I get my deal flow, but then as soon as the market starts softening and all the other real estate agents or real estate investors are out of the game, he's like, I go all in. I double, triple, quadruple my ad spend and all my marketing. I want to be branded everywhere, because instead of having, let's say, 100 people to compete with, now I have 4 people or 5 people to compete with. So it's the same model, but if there's still 100 people that you're competing with for an offer right now, it's okay. Just keep chugging away until you find an opportunity. And when things change, which they do, you go all in. And I think right now we're going to get close to when it's time to go all in, to make sure that we can all capture as much market share as we can handle.
Man, you're like a weatherman. If you just keep saying it, one day it's going to be true.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I mean, you still see rates. You still see prices climbing. Granted, debt's like super cheap, but I know Powell just came out and said whatever he said about keeping interest rates the same. People are jumping for joy, but I don't really get into the whole Fed thing. But we know as interest rates are low, prices are going to continue to climb, and vice versa. So be ready for it when it is coming. So. Either way, man, the Millionaire Fastlane, you want a good read, you want an easy, quick, like if you got an hour commute like I do each way, you can have the book done in a week. It's just a good, like.
It's a 12-hour audiobook though.
Yeah, well, you got to remember, I drive an hour each way, so I'm done.
No, I get it. I'll tell you one of the reasons I really enjoyed the book too, because it was a book that kept me on my toes. It was very well written, and I listened to it, by the way, the audio. It was very well written. It was very well dictated, or whatever it is when you listen to an audiobook. There had a lot of stories. It was very storytelling, and it was real life examples. Like, it was very, very easy to catch on and be intrigued by. It was very interesting, and like, he has no problem talking about him having a Lamborghini and everything else. And and it starts off a little abrasive and it starts off a little sleazy, but at the same time, it's, hey, I worked my ass off. I sold my company. I make a lot of money. I can't spend the amount of money that I make that comes in passively anymore. And then, so it is what it is. So, I mean, I'm sure he's got a lot of haters. I'm not a hater at all. I think it was fine, and let him do his thing. And he certainly grind hard to make it work.
Yeah, man. So, either way, Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco. Pick it up. It's a good read. It's a good listen. It's actually, it's probably a better listen than it is a read, because he's very entertaining throughout the book.
That's right. Agreed.
It keeps you engaged, and back end of the book was a little slow. It was a lot about marketing and stuff, but either way, it's worth a listen. Grab it, pick it up. We don't make any money off this stuff. We don't even have a link to it. So if you go on Amazon, it's on there. It's a real easy read. And enjoy yourself, man. If you guys have any comments, or if you have any other books that you'd like to suggest that we review, that we should read, we're always open to it. You can email me at ian@equitywarehouse.com and
Jason@hardmoneybankers.com.
Yeah.
In general, not that there's not a lot of really good books out there, but I typically only read a book based on recommendation from somebody, because there's a lot of very good, catchy, listen, just like anything else, what sells? Taglines sell, headlines sell, book covers sell. That's not the best book cover in the world, but it's good substance, right? Like, it's very good. It's very good quality. It's same thing. So, like, in general, everyone gets potentially stickers. Everyone looks and be like, oh, I'm attracted to this book because it's got a really good cover. That's what always sells things. So I try not to fall into that trap. But I do like to take recommendations. So if anyone has a recommendation of another book, I'm finishing up Buy and Build right now. I'm going to be done with that this weekend. So if anyone has another recommendation, I have a laundry list of books that I choose from and pick from on Audible. But, I like, when there's something that's really interesting, I like to push them to the front of the line. And then I convince Ian to read it, and then we get to do a book review.
Yeah, by the time I finish it, you forgot what the book's about, and every conversation we had before we jumped on here to remember what the book's about. But either way, good book, and I guess we'll catch you guys next week. I don't know who we have lined up yet, but we will find someone, or we will jump on here and talk to you, and we'll catch you guys next week.
If you need anything, feel free to reach out. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast. Do us a favor and like, comment, and share our broadcast. It helps the algorithm and helps us spread the word too. Till next time, thank you for tuning in.